All right, welcome to a 2v2 immigration debate. So, why don't we get started? Why don't you guys introduce yourselves really quick? And then if you guys have opening statements, we could go with that. So, if Jeremy, if you want to start first, and then we just go down the line.
Um, Name is Jeremy. Ready for it. I'm pro immigration.
I'm Kirsten. Just a heads up, I was put in last minute because Zach, right? Had to drop out. Yeah, I'm pro immigration.
Nice.
All right. I guess I'll go next. I'm Sam Kipling. I host the podcast Conservative Academy, so that's a little background of me. And I'm anti-immigration. I'm for net zero immigration.
Yeah. My name's Jordan B. I have a Twitter account, obviously, but I have a small YouTube channel. I am anti-immigration. I'm net zero migration, and I think as we go forward, I think we'll see that I'm actually net negative migration, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, whoever has, do you guys have opening statements prepared?
Yeah, they can go first.
I didn't write anything down, but Jordan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can go off the top of my head. I think that without having something written, I think my opening statement would be that, the U.S.'s immigration policy of essentially open borders and, flooding us with third world migration since the Hart-Celler Act of 1965 has done irrevocable damage to the United States, especially the middle class, and especially the middle class minorities that were starting to make inroads economically around the time of 1965. I think it's impacted our culture in negative ways. It's made us less cohesive as a country. And I think that a lot of these ills that we're facing today can be boiled down to immigration and demographics.
Sam, are you gonna add anything?
So Chris,
All right, sure.
Oh, okay, I guess I'll go. So I wrote down an opening statement. I said the American immigration system should allow for the free movement of people in the U.S. for any reason, as long as they don't pose a threat to U.S. citizens or national security. The Constitution never explicitly bars or restricts people from immigrating to the United States. Congress only has direct power in the naturalization process of immigrants. Unless you're Native American or African American, every person has benefited from immigration. The beauty of the American experiment is that the multitude of different people that come from varying ethnicities, birthplaces, ages, and backgrounds can revolve around the cultural and socio-political principles found in the American Constitution. Immigrants are subject to the same laws as citizens, provide a net benefit in economic growth, commit less crime, and can assimilate into American socio-political culture. And that's about it.
All right. Can I respond?
Are we just going free-flowing here?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. So in your opening statement, you said that only the Black and Native American communities have been hurt by immigration. This is just not true. I mean, every middle class or low skilled worker in the country has been negatively affected by immigration because of labor displacement. So,
yeah, I don't really know how you can say that the only people that have been negatively impacted by Wait, what was that point you were saying?
Oh wait. Okay, yeah. Let me clarify that. I don't think I said that properly. So what I was saying is I think everyone has had the point I was trying to make is everyone has come from the benefit of immigration when it comes to our ancestors. I wasn't necessarily making an argument for the economics there.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I think I was too vague in saying that.
Oh, okay, I see, because the natives were here and
and Black people were okay. So your argument is that all the immigrants aside from Black and Native Americans have benefited from American society, basically?
Yeah, from immigration.
And I think, and we'll get more into the statistics behind this, but I think Sam and I would actually agree with you there that the immigrants who have come here have greatly benefited from the outsourcing of our original middle class to them. One of the stats that we're going to look at is the fact that mass migration has primarily positively impacted the top 1% and the immigrants themselves. There's no lasting benefit to the middle class of having their nation flooded with third world migrants, or even not even third world migrants, migrants in general, immigration.
Right. Income inequality has worsened tremendously since mass migration since the 80s. I mean, you really can't make the argument that the middle class hasn't been affected.
Like, what would you tell someone in Ohio who's had their jobs displaced by immigration? What would you tell them that the benefit of mass migration has had for them? Like, what would you tell a middle class worker that they're benefiting from migration? I don't understand.
Wait,
I don't know where Jeremie went.
Yeah, did Jeremy
Yeah, he was
Oh,
kind
wait,
of
he's-
supposed to answer that one.
Oh, he's back on. Hold on.
There he is.
I wonder how much of that
My
you
bad, I
got.
lost connection.
Oh,
Can
good.
you repeat that?
I was just asking, what would you tell basically like someone who's had their job displaced by immigration and low wages that we've had flooding into our country? What would you tell them that the benefit of migration serves to them? I don't understand. Like, I can understand the argument that immigrants themselves benefit from mass migration and CEOs in the top 1%, but I don't see what the benefit is to the middle class of having mass migration.
Okay, wait, you about to say something, Christian?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what was the question? I missed the question.
What benefit does middle class what benefit does the middle class get from mass migration? How does that help middle class people and low wage workers? I don't understand.
So you're saying that the low wage workers are being affected greatly by immigration, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
So the study I was looking at a study that a professor from Harvard made that which shows that the impact of immigrants coming in really don't really have much impact on the middle class, because if 22 million immigrants moved to America in a 6 week period, which would not happen, like it doesn't have really a much great impact. It isn't on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It is going to have an impact
So,
because.
right. If you say, sorry, Jordan, if you want to go, you can go.
Oh no, go for it, Sam. No, you got
Okay.
it. You got it.
All right. So, I mean, it's really just like it boils down to common sense. It's supply and demand. If you import more workers, then the price of the workers will go down, and that just hurts low skilled workers across the country. I mean, like you said, 22 million, excuse me, immigrants. I don't see how you can say that just has no effect. Right? That's 22 million workers driving wages down.
Well, so
Yeah,
when
I
it comes
mean,
to like the low wage,
it's really
when it comes to like the low wage skilled jobs, especially when it comes to what's it called, more southern countries, you see a lot of these immigrants are taking a lot of low skill wage jobs that most Americans wouldn't take. So like I'm trying to find the correlation between like where immigrants are coming here taking American jobs, but they're working jobs that most Americans wouldn't actually work. So you look at California, New Mexico, they're picking like berries for like $8 an hour, and the majority of Americans wouldn't even work this job.
So there's two parts to that. One, that's a very common trope that's used by immigrant people, that Americans won't do the jobs that the third worlders doing. One, that's not true. There's nuance to that, because it's not that the Americans won't do the jobs, it's that they won't do the jobs for $5 an hour with no lunch breaks, no benefits, no nothing. When you say that, basically what you're saying is there are people that will come in and work for worse conditions and less money, which doesn't benefit Americans. That undercuts our wages. And two, really, if those spots went unfilled, like we're filling them now with third world automation, and then we could start about what automation looks like and UBI and deeper conversations. But instead, we're supplementing our labor force with people who, really, if they weren't there, we could start to have conversations about, does Tesla make a berry picking machine? I don't know, but it's like we'll never have that conversation as long as we're stuck in that framing of, well, the Americans won't pick the berries, they'll bring people from El Salvador to do it. And it's like, no, Americans just want to work for good money and good benefits and good wages, which was starting to become the case in the 70s until we opened the floodgates. So I think it's not as simple as saying Americans won't do it. What you have to look at is what will they do it for?
Exactly. An American worker,
Sam,
to put it in shorter terms. Yeah, an American worker wouldn't work these awful conditions. An American worker would pick berries, of course, for a fair wage and with good working conditions. But if you see someone that you import workers from other countries, immigrants, and you see they will work for terrible conditions, right? Low expense, low wages, and then you see an American worker that has some dignity that needs fair working conditions and wages. Who are you going to pick? As a corporation that wants money in your pocket, who are you going to choose? Are you going to be fair to the American workers, or are you going to cop out with an immigrant worker? It's just not true that Americans won't work these jobs.
But the science shows that it's true. I mean,
Jeremie, what was that?
I interrupted you. You can keep going.
No, you're fine. I wanted to hear what you were gonna say. It's fine.
But like you keep saying this, but like the stat shows that immigrants normally take lower income jobs because there's some jobs that they can't do. Like someone that is a naturally born citizen have an advantage over an immigrant because that immigrant doesn't know. If an immigrant doesn't know, like, let's say a Mexican that doesn't know English well and doesn't have those abilities, right? Why would he try to go for a job which he can get paid a lot, but he doesn't have that skill set, right? That's why they target lower jobs, right? So I'm not really understanding what you're saying by them taking jobs away because like they're not taking jobs away from the middle class at all. They're coming here for obviously they're coming here for a better lifestyle, right? But keep going.
No, I agree. They're coming here for a better lifestyle, but
at the expense of who?
Yeah, exactly. Do we owe that to them? Do we owe the world a better life? Or do we owe the people who are already here a better life?
We have to stop looking at foreigners as potential Americans and start looking at Americans as Americans.
But we do that. We already do that. We have things like, we have things in our country that we take Americans first. Like, if you take an American, you were saying the example about corporation, right? Taking like immigrants, right? So if you take a immigrant, a new immigrant that came here, right, and someone that lived here already, that person have much opportunity, or even more than that immigrant. So,
right.
So I think that the arguments Jeremie's trying to make is that native-born Americans already have, I think he would say, an economic advantage when it comes to so what an employer would choose. So when it comes to language skills, work skills, how comfortable they are.
But the built-in
okay, sorry, you go first.
Well, the built-in disadvantage that the American worker would have is that they're not willing to work for pennies on the dollar and for poor working conditions. And then also, even if you're saying that the American worker has an advantage, of course they do. They're natural born citizens. Your whole framing assumes your whole framing assumes that people have a right to live here, that the world has a right to America's space, and they don't. I want the American worker to have a built-in advantage to everyone else. But what I'm saying is that with low-wage jobs, what's the advantage that
so
they
you want to
won't
get
work
rid
for?
of? I mean, if they're not doing it, it's not their immigrants' fault that Americans don't want to target these low-wage jobs, right? If an immigrant, immigrants that do want to target because they're willing to work for anything. So that's why they're going to target those jobs. An American citizen may be something with culture that's not going to target a low wage job. You admit that they still have an advantage because of the language skills and being here, and so they're more comfortable with that. So they have the exact same ability as an immigrant to be successful.
Well, what kind of society do you want to live in? A society where low-wage workers are abused by corporations, working for pennies on the dollar with no lunch breaks? Or do you want a society where low-wage workers are treated with dignity and respect and can make a living wage? Because what you're arguing for will lead to the first option of low-wage workers being abused. If you seem fine with that, Sam and I are not fine with that.
You're
Right.
arguing, so you're talking about capitalism now?
No, there are plenty of people I know, plenty of people looking for jobs that aren't afraid of labor. They would work in those fields, bust their ass all day. Thing is, they wouldn't do it for $3 an hour like an immigrant that just came from a poor country would, right? Because
Why aren't they doing it for $3 an hour? If they're really willing to work a job, you would do any job that you can get money or gain something and work your way up, and that's what immigrants do.
But then again, you're assuming that they're owed being here. If like reframe it. Think about if they weren't here, if they weren't allowed to come in and undercut the market, you would have America here. Okay, here's a good example. Jeremie, you're black, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you know who used to do the jobs of agriculture and construction in the 70s and basically from the 60s after the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964? From the 60s to the mid 80s, a lot of these hard labor jobs like agricultural work, construction, jobs that we now associate with illegal immigrants doing, it used to be black people. It used to be African Americans doing those jobs. It used to be African Americans doing those kind of foot in the door type of jobs. When you bring in low wage immigration, who do you think that's going to negatively disproportionately impact the most? It's going to be the black people. That's common sense, right?
But they're not doing those jobs anymore. I mean, they have the exact same opportunity.
Correct.
They're not doing those jobs anymore, though.
But you're right. You're right. But here's the thing. The key word in your sentence in your response was anymore. Why aren't they doing those jobs anymore?
Because they
were
racism,
undercut.
All right.
No.
Racism and that's
How did we go
different.
How did we go to racism? How did we go to racism?
You said that black people back in the 70s and those eras where they weren't in 60s where they weren't treated equally. I mean, they didn't have the exact same opportunity. And African American today have the exact same opportunity to be successful. So it's not the 60s anymore. We're talking about 2020.
I agree with I think you're okay, Sam, you got it.
All right, sorry, yeah, you're good. So immigration influx has caused the black community their unemployment to raise by 2.4%. That's a lot of workers. And I mean the white unemployment only goes up by 0.7 of a percentage. So this issue hits home for a lot of black communities.
Exactly. Yeah, so
I mean, you can't really deny that.
Yeah, from 1980 to 2000, exactly like you said, that study, the unemployment rate in the black community increased 2.4%, whereas it only impacted the white community 0.7%. Mass migration has a disproportionate impact on black people because that's an entirely different debate, but socioeconomically, black people are lower on the pyramid than white people. It is what it is. But mass migration disproportionately impacts black people. And Jeremie, you saying that, well, they don't do those jobs anymore. Yes, but why don't they do those jobs anymore? Because their wages were undercut and the corporations have more allegiance to money, frankly, than they do to black people. And that's just how corporations work. So I don't really know how you can argue that like mass migration has helped black people. How has mass migration helped the African American community?
Christian, you want to answer this one? Wait, is he here? Christian? Christian, can you hear me?
Hold on. He might not be here now.
I'm genuinely wondering, is he still here? Christian?
He just disconnected.
Alright. I guess it's just me. Okay, where did we left off? You're talking about immigration.
Well, all I'm asking is just where. I mean, what I like to think about with the. Oh, there he is. There's Christian.
Yeah, can you repeat that? My thing keeps cutting out.
Basically, my big question at the end of what I said was how. I don't really understand where you can make the argument that mass migration has helped Black people. Sam and I just cited a study where between 1980 and 2000, the unemployment rate in the Black community went up 2.4%, whereas it only went up 0.7% in the white community. For whatever reason, Black people are lower socioeconomically, and that's a totally different debate than what we're having now. But mass migration, per the statistics, has negatively impacted Black people far more than white people. How can you honestly say, for example, to the Black community that mass migration has helped them? What are the benefits to mass migration to a community like the Black community? Can you name any?
So so when you're talking about mass migration having a negative impact on the Black community, are you citing for other varying factors? Like you said, that's another debate, but I think you also have to cite for different varying factors when it comes to the choices and the culture of a Black community.
Sure. I would actually completely acknowledge that, but we're not even talking about incarceration rates. We're not talking about fatherlessness rates. The thing with mass migration, where it's a very specific economic issue, is that when you bring 60 million people in a country in the span of 60 years who are willing to work under the table, more or less, they're going to get jobs. And what community is that going to impact the most? It's going to impact the community that's at the lowest rung, which is the Black community. So it's one of these common sense things where it's like, you don't even have to explain that. All I'm asking is, what's the benefit of mass migration to the Black community or to the lowest rung of society?
Christian?
Well, okay. So when it comes to immigration, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm for open or free borders. Like I kind of came up with this, put in this last minute. So I'm not trying to say that as an excuse, but I was shoved in here last minute. So I'm still trying to figure this out a bit. But like, not straying away from that subject. So you're for net zero immigration, right?
Correct. I'm actually for net negative migration. If it sounds like I'm purposely trying to be edgy, but I'm not. I would be for mass deportations, frankly, at this point.
Okay, so when it comes to not trying to stray away from the topic, but like when we're talking about just besides low wage workers, what negative do you see when it comes to would you say Asian immigration or European immigration?
Well, I mean, are you conceding the economic argument?
So when it comes to immigration, I am for restricted immigration to personally towards countries coming from South America.
Why?
Why
are you for restricted?
So like what you said a while ago when it comes to like low wage jobs and et cetera like that, I was just trying to kind of formulate an argument here with Jeremy for that. But when it comes to, I do believe in restriction for South American countries because I don't think they're bringing as much as a benefit when it comes to immigration. I'm for more immigration when it comes restricted immigration for more immigrants coming from Europe, Asia, and other countries.
No, would I be? And Sam, do you want to jump in? I feel like I'm talking too much.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm actually looking up a study that I forgot to save on the environment.
The environment one's a good one. But no, I mean, I am for net zero migration. Now, if I had to pick between European migrants and South American migrants, would I pick European? Yes. The reason for that would be basically cultural, because they would be more easily assimilated into America than Ecuadorians or something. But I am actually for net zero migration. I think we already need to assimilate the people here that we have, and I don't think adding the melting pot factor to our country again for the second time in our history is a good idea. It's not working.
I mean, it never has. Everyone talks about, New York City being the melting pot, but if you go to New York City, they're segregated,
Yeah.
and not by the state. They're segregated on their own free will. There's
Yeah.
Chinatowns, Little Italies. It's not like diversity is actually our strength. That is nonsense.
That's a meme.
Yeah.
I mean, with all you guys are probably anti income inequality. Why would you be supportive of continued migration? Like, again, I keep asking this and no one will answer it. What's the
Because
benefit to this country with
it
mass
brings
migration?
international students. I mean, our colleges are benefiting from this a lot. I mean, they bring in $45 billion to the U.S. economy from college just alone, and 62% of those are like income to paying to that is just by themselves. So they're helping, if they're coming here and working, and they're helping our college system. So if we're getting rid of them, we're losing a lot of money off of our college system and other things like that.
Now,
Yeah,
okay, I have a contention to that. If they're not coming over and our colleges system loses an importation of immigrants, are we really losing, or are more Americans getting like native born Americans getting a chance to be educated? Right, we got to put America first, not these immigrants are coming here and our colleges are benefiting from it. Our colleges would benefit either way, because if they have a lack of immigrants to enroll, they'd have to enroll native born Americans. So yeah,
but there's nothing really stopping. There's nothing really stopping Americans from coming in to, unless academics, obviously, to colleges. So it's really helping them.
hold on. I'm looking at a study right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus,
I don't really.
the U.S. immigrants only make up like 13% of the population. So it's like, well, yes, we're bringing in a lot, right? That's what we offer some restriction, right? But we're not like overpopulating, right? And you're talking about
well, we are
culture.
actually
We are incredibly
we are
overpopulated.
way
in this country.
overpopulating because the environment's taken a huge hit from immigration. I mean, loss of biodiversity, and I'm reading off this. This isn't saved in my head, but loss of biodiversity and species extinction. That means a lot of humans in one place hurts the environment, the ecosystem. There's water shortages all over. Overcrowded cities and carbon emissions spike due to immigration. Like, we are overpopulated, and we need to stop the flow of immigrants in.
And the other funny thing of what Jeremie said about like they're helping our college system. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but how you have to look at immigration is every person that comes here from another country is utilizing a resource that could be spent on Americans.
Yes.
Like why? I don't understand the outward focus to the rest of the world. It's like, no, we have a duty to the people that live in this country and that are the founding stock and that were already here. I don't understand the reasoning of we owe it to the world to bring them here. It's like, no, we have enough problems here. I don't understand this mentality.
We don't have enough jobs, right? If we had more jobs than we could fill, I would be for immigration. Maybe not even, maybe higher birth rates. But
Yeah, that's a different.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't have enough jobs and we're importing workers, I just don't see, like, that doesn't correlate to me as putting America first.
And I think that's kind of the other aspect of this is like, I think fundamentally Sam and I are America first. We are whatever benefits America first, not other countries, not other countries' economies. Frankly, not even transnational corporations' economies or their budget or their spreadsheet. I care about the American people. And more increasingly
if
what we're
immigrants are
showing is
contributing to the economy, we're helping. If they're contributing to it.
But I think you're missing that they're siphoning resources that could be used for the American people. Whereas what we need to be thinking of is how to best help the people that are currently here and the ancestors of the people that were here, frankly.
Christian?
I just don't like the outward focus on the rest of the world, that we owe the world our labor and our institutions and our infrastructure. No, we
Right.
don't.
It's
We're
not our
already
job to
short-handed.
save the world. It's our job to protect and preserve the American people. Not the idea of America, not the magic soil, but the people that live here
people,
and have
they're-
roots here.
Exactly. And I think that might be where we differ. I think you guys view America as an idea and an economy, where Sam and I view America as its people.
Interesting.
On an off note, Chief Trumpster is cracking me up in the comments. He's hilarious.
Oh, is he in the comments? This
Yeah.
guy.
Christian, you want to say something? This is the social Is he gone again? Of course he's gone. Okay.
I mean, we can make this more of a discussion if you guys want, instead of a debate. I just think that,
But
I think well, no, go, Jeremy.
okay, the problem y'all seeing it, right? Having immigrants are coming in and like taking jobs, and like they should, like, I don't know. You're thinking that immigrants should stopping immigration, and you're thinking that it affects our culture, right? That's basically your argument on it.
No,
That is,
I mean that's part of it.
Culture is a argument that we have. Yeah.
Okay, can you talk to me about the culture part?
Okay. When you're in a city, or at a train station, at a mall, and you hear an announcement, you hear it twice. Or you hear it in English, and then you hear it in Spanish in most cities, most places. That's a problem to me, right? I don't know if that's not a problem to you, but assimilation just hasn't worked. Realistically, you can use anecdotal arguments, be like, well, I know immigrants that have assimilated, but that's just not a reality, right? Like I said, the whole Little Italy thing, Chinatown, assimilation historically doesn't work. It's not happening. And America, quite frankly, doesn't have a culture because it's so mixed. There's no American culture, and that's wrong to me.
Right. I don't really understand. Again, I'm, school me here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't understand how you could ever make the argument that, like, assimilation has worked, culture doesn't matter. Hearing 3 different language options when you call on a phone tree is working. Not knowing who your neighbors are. Just like, I know we, on our side of politics, we talk.
But
Sorry, go.
I don't know. You were saying that, but don't that makes us more unique than any other country? Because we have that strength. We have so much. We have diversity is strength. I see it. Maybe you don't see it. I see how diversity has been strength to our economy. Maybe, of course you don't. Of course you don't see it.
No, diversity is not a strength. Homogeneity is a strength. Pre-1965 demographics are a strength. And this is a tweet that I had that blew up the other day. It said, imagine not wanting to go back to pre-1965 demographics and absolute freedom of association. How do you think that we are a stronger country today when there's no one with a dominant culture in the country? Diversity is not a strength. Homogeneity is, and that's actually proven in Harvard sociologist book, Robert Putnam's book, Bowling Alone. He details the effects of diversity in communities, and it leads to social isolation and less civil participation. This is factual.
That's true. And I'm going to take words right out of Jordan B's mouth from the last Zoom call with the libertarians. You take a bunch of non-white immigrants, bring them in here and teach them that everyone in this country, every white person in this country is evil. You're going to see what happens. It's not good. Even the Black Lives Matter race riots, like, you can clearly tell that diversity doesn't work. I mean,
yeah, I know. And it's like even ironically, Black Lives Matter would agree with Sam and I about diversity more than they would agree with you guys about diversity. BLM would tell us, like, yeah, you're right, diversity doesn't work. And this is BLM's words, not mine. They would say white people are evil. Any situation,
It's a Marxist. Okay, BML is a Marxist organization. So, like, I don't really.
Oh no, we're not asking for
No, no,
BLM
no.
support. It's just
No, we hate BLM. Yeah, we don't like BLM. But ironically, they're more woke on the diversity question than you guys are. You guys are trying to like do the melting pot thing, and it doesn't work, even in like even in a super majority white country like 1930s America. Even then, you had Italian America, you had Chinatown, you had Germantown. People naturally segregate. It is what it is, man. That doesn't mean you need to enforce that by law, but you do need to allow people the ability to self-group if they want. That's fine. That's freedom of association.
and I'm not discrediting you because unfortunately diversity is like a dogma. We're taught from the time we're preschoolers and 3 years old that diversity is our strength. We need diversity. And if you question that, you're like racist or something. I don't know.
Jeremie,
Yeah,
I noticed you pretty reflexively went back to that. You were like, but doesn't that make us great that we're like a Tower of Babel, accumulation of different languages and different looking people? It's like, no, there's nothing cool about that. The most powerful countries are the ones that have a unified backstory, a unified heritage, and there's nothing. That's why the Tower of Babel story in the Bible is so resonant. That's why the tower collapsed, because they couldn't communicate, because you had a million different languages being spoken. There's truth in that.
I didn't even think about that until now, Jordan. But yeah, I mean,
There's
what was
truth
their
there.
strength? What was their strength? They were all the same. That's how they built the tower.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That is literally from the Bible. He
and
made us diverse to
and
weaken
then
us. That is
and then
the point.
how did the tower collapse? When they introduced all the languages and all the, I mean, that's what happens. That's the story of humanity. Diversity is not a strength.
Okay, so wow, whew, that's national. Y'all are some true nationalists. That's crazy.
Okay, let me give you this example. It sounds
I didn't
crazy
hear what he
what
said.
we're
I'm
saying.
sorry.
So, who just said that, Sam?
Yeah, I didn't hear what Jeremy said.
Jeremy said y'all are some true nationalists. Damn. And I mean, okay, but
I
here's
take
the
that as a
thing.
compliment.
Let's apply the standard that I'm using to a different country, okay? Let's talk about Japan. Do you support Japan's immigration policy, Jeremy?
I don't know much about Japan immigration policy.
So they allowed three migrants into their country. 3 Middle Eastern migrants into their country in 2015. Just for scale, that should just show you that the fact that you can count on one hand how many migrants they allowed into their country. That tells you what you need to know. They're basically a closed borders country. They have 0 murders per year, high trust. Cops are out there chasing people for stealing bikes when we can't solve.
Yeah, I saw that
Did
meme.
you see that story?
Yeah, the cops are looking for extra things to do because it's not
So
enough.
you're saying that immigrants are causing illegal immigrants are causing like crime in America?
No, that's hard to back up.
Which is
I'm gonna draw out of that
true.
argument right now.
Which is not true, because most people that commit crime in America are African American because of the low social economic thing. Most people that commit crimes are African American. 50.
You're like
It's
half
over
right.
50%.
You're right.
So like,
Oh
how you gonna
shoot,
say
Jeremy is 1350 posting. Okay.
yeah, it's crazy to me how you gonna say that immigrants come in and cause legal immigrants.
No, that's not what I'm
crime.
saying. That's not actually entirely what I'm saying. Japan is an ethnically homogenous country with 99% of the people being of one race. It's not. My argument is basically saying that Japan is the extreme example of what we're talking about. Iceland would be another extreme example of what we're talking about.
I would argue that diversity itself causes violence, not the immigrants, and I think that's what Jordan was trying to come across. That because Japan was homogenous is why there's no crime, little to no crime. Sorry. I don't think he was saying that there's no immigrants, therefore there's no one to do crime.
It's exactly. It's really just that countries that are of the same race and primarily mostly white and Asian countries, and it just is what it is.
But I mean,
they don't have that crime.
You're saying that you said earlier that most powerful countries are like something about like They only have one main and dominant language. That's right. That's what you were
Correct.
saying, Jordan, earlier, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
But we're
Ruck,
still the number one. We're still the strongest country in the world, and we still have the most immigrants in the world. So
does this country,
that
Jeremy? Let me ask you
Okay.
this. Let me ask you this, Jeremy. Does this country feel stable to you? Does it
this
feel like
country
we're Does this country feel like it's united behind one common ideal and one common goal right now?
at this moment, if you ask me at this moment, no, because we have a race war between white and black.
Oh, oh wow, that's weird how increased diversity leads to race war. Wow, thank you for proving my point.
And I mean,
Exactly.
No,
even
it's
so, you can see
the,
historically when we were more culturally, and even racially. I'm not gonna lie here, homogenous. Violence was down. Our country was better off, say the '60s, like Jordan was talking about, than it is now. And we've been importing 1 million legal immigrants a year. So can't you trace like a connection there? More immigration, it's going downhill. Like we are definitely not the same elite superpower country we were then, domestically.
Yeah. And then by your logic, Jeremy, if diversity is our strength, then why aren't we the most why don't we have a common unified ideology behind us anymore? It's probably because of the diversity, not because of I don't even know what you would blame it on. I would probably blame it on diversity itself. We had enough problems when it was pre-1965 demographics. Now we're just like adding kerosene to the
the
fire.
problems in 1960 were different. I mean, like Sam say, even when we were racially, I don't know what was the word exactly that you used
Homogenous.
in the 1960s. Where you say it was moral to treat how the African American community was treated in the 1960s.
Now that's not what we said or brought up at all. It was more the demographics, as in we had a very strong majority of people.
Right. And actually, when Jeremy, an interesting stat I don't know if you know about, in the 60s, it was only in single digits that Black people wanted to be integrated into schools and public society. Black people in the mid 60s actually didn't want forced busing by the US government. They didn't want forced integration. Black people were actually mostly happy with their communities and wanted better funding in their communities, but they didn't want to be forced integrated into white schools and stuff. They didn't want that.
That's
Because
I'm
the
of
just,
story of
fear.
I'm,
America
That
telling
and
was
that's
Black
because
just
of
an
people
fear, though.
they're
that's
That's a
just
oppressed.
an
that's a completely
interesting.
different. That's a completely different topic because of fear. Black people in the African American community in the 1960s, they feared integrating into a white society because they never experienced that. Those parents taught them that white people weren't their friends, right? So that's a completely different completely different topic on that.
So I
Wait,
agree
wait,
that
wait.
that's a different
All right.
topic. We're getting into race. Well, we're getting into race right now, which is perfectly fine with me. I could do that all day too. But let me just ask you this: like the racial divides between Black and white people, do you think that gets better or worse when we bring in cultures that have no familiarity with American culture?
Right. Okay. To piggyback off that, if black and white can't get along, why are you gonna add in brown, red, yellow? Like,
Asian, Indian, yeah,
The
it's like
right.
reason because black and white never didn't get around because of we had slavery and 400 years of
see,
oppression. That's a different topic, completely different topic.
But
We still
we
have those
enslaved
things
them
there.
because they weren't like us. Like, I think that diversity is inevitably, if two very different cultures, very different societies meet, it's not going to end up well for uh, one of
and
them. And that's what happened in Africa, right?
exactly,
Diversity is just a
and
negative thing.
and I think Jeremy, I kind of see your point, but here's an interesting thing. I think on the right we talk a lot about how multiculturalism doesn't work. Frankly, what it is multiracialism doesn't work. And a lot of people
Oh
have
boy,
talked,
we're getting the dangerous territory, Jordan.
but no. But here's the thing: we didn't have in pre-1960s America. We still didn't have multiracialism. We had biracialism. We had black and white. That was really it. And
That's
that was
true.
actually starting to work in the 70s. You look at a lot of the sitcoms and a lot of media representation around then, blacks and whites were on their way towards the healing. I that's my personal opinion. I think around, I don't know when it was, and I think the Hart-Celler Act of 65 exacerbated it because you brought in a bunch of different cultures that made it worse. My opinion is that you could probably work with some type of demographic of historic America of 85% white, 15% black with absolute freedom of association. That could probably work, but the boat that we're in now has zero chance of working, and it's actively sinking in front of us, and we all see it. Even Jeremie admitted it. Jeremie, you just admitted it. You were like, yeah, it's not working. It's bad. No one, there's a race war. No one likes each other. And Sam and I are just sitting here like, exactly. That's what we're saying.
The thing is
That's our
that
point.
okay. The thing is that you can fix that right now. It's not the race war right now in America. It's not. It's between black and white. It's not between immigrants or none of that. It's between them. It has been going on for several years, right? Like, uh, I don't know how else to say this.
Wait, Jeremy, do you want me to
I mean,
find like
okay.
another person? Wait, sorry, my bad.
You're good.
No, because Kirsten's like connection is like pretty unstable. Do you want me to find like someone else on the pro-immigration side that like hop in while he's
Sure.
gone, or what do you want to do?
Sure.
Like, I'm really
Sure.
fine.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you guys can continue your convo. I'll try to like find someone real quick.
Okay. So
I think
anyway, your point, correct me if I'm wrong. Your point was that the only fusion or problems right now in the country is between black and white. I would argue that that's not because immigration isn't a problem and diversity isn't a problem. I would argue that's because the black community is more organized right now. Right? There's no combined immigrant or Hispanic background like slavery. So I like I said, I would argue that give it a decade or so, and we'll have a problem with Hispanics, with Indians, all these different cultures.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. So, I mean, you're
I
saying
mean-
that it hasn't.
I mean, large influxes of South American or Latin American immigrants is a recent thing, right? Immigration has traditionally been from Europe in the past.
Asians
Yeah,
are
and that's why we're for restriction from like Christian said, we're restriction from those countries, right? Because like the more European countries are more skilled wise.
My question is why. I don't understand the why behind why your restriction is. Everything you guys said earlier said that immigration benefits the economy, and that's the reason you support it. If we follow your logic to its logical conclusion, why would you be restrictionist? Because by your logic, if we let in a million, I know this isn't possible. I get that, but if we let in
obviously
a
can't let in
million,
everyone though. You can't
why
let in,
not?
you
Why
don't
not? If
wanna,
it benefits the economy, why not, Jeremy?
that's why okay. Because you're saying because of massive immigration, right? We're not completely open borders, right? You don't. We want them to have the back. We want them to have like the background on knowing America, right? Um, we want them to contribute to society, right? And our system right now, believe it or not, it's pretty hard to be a legal immigrant to come in. It's pretty hard. It takes. If you don't think so?
No,
Well,
really.
when you say contribute to society, the more they do here, the more they're taking away. That is an opportunity lost for a native born.
Jordan, you was about to say something?
Sorry, someone wanted the link to this. I'm going to send them the link to this channel.
Chief.
No, I do. Our society is becoming increasingly tailored to illegal immigrants. We're starting to give them the right to vote. Every police officer in southwestern states, at least, it's becoming against the rules to ask them their immigration status. The left is winning the ideological argument right before our eyes. And
So you're saying,
people,
wait. You said illegal immigrant, right?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm not for illegal immigrant because I feel like illegal immigrants take away from legal immigrants that come in this country, right? Because like they're coming here illegal. For a legal immigrant to come in this country, like example me, right? It took 10 years. Takes 10 years. You have to work hard. You have to work hard. You have to go through a system which is pretty hard because I went through that, right? And illegal immigrants, you know, they're not coming here the right way. So I don't support them really.
Right.
All
And
right, can I respond? Sorry. So I understand you are an immigrant yourself. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the Hart-Celler Act, which I disagree with. Now we have to stop looking at this from I'm an immigrant, what's best for me,
Yeah, I know.
which I had to give up, and we have to start looking at what is best for America, right? And I like I said, I disagree with the Hart-Celler Act, which I wouldn't be here without. And I'm glad I'm here, but I also know that the Hart-Celler Act was bad for America.
Okay.
Yeah, you really have to separate yourself from the policy. That's the key. And it's like, you know, like Jeremy, I don't even know you. I don't have any ill will against you, but what I'm saying is that legal immigration has been just as detrimental to this country in mass as illegal immigration has. Of course it has. Because the thing is, people don't give up their culture just because they learned a few stats on a test. That's not you personally, but you know, why would someone need to integrate into American society if they're allowed in with a million people who look just like them and are from the same country they're from, but they did it legally? It's like, you know, give up your country but do it legally. It's like, no.
Yeah, I do also feel bad right now because it's 2v1. It doesn't seem quite fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm holding up.
Oh yeah,
these
no,
things.
Jeremy, you're doing
No,
good.
you're
but
doing good, man. I just don't. I feel like it's not totally
right,
fair.
because I see people in the comments being like this, you know, talking about how it's not fair. I know.
I mean, you guys could just turn into like a conversation rather than a debate. Or if you guys want to like talk about like different topics, I mean, we could like transition to like a free form conversation. If you guys-
Alright.
Jeremy, where are you from, man?
Congo.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool.
I think that. Okay, I guess we can we wrap up our statement?
Sure.
Yeah, we can do a wrap up.
Y'all can go first.
All right. I suppose that you mentioned a lot of good points, but in the end, I do think that our argument, over the economy, which is a point you conceded, and then we went to what was it? Culture, which I just think our argument triumphed that these people aren't like us. These people don't like us, and they're here to take opportunity away from native borns. Right? If we don't have enough resources for the people already here, importing more is not the solution. That is my closing statement.
Jordan.
Yeah, I would mirror that. I would say that on the right, it's, you know, especially today, it's important to not necessarily be totally fine with legal migration, as you know, as long as they fill out the right paperwork. I think that that legal migration has just as many downsides, if not more, than illegal immigration sometimes. And that's not a slight against Jeremy. I'm just speaking in general. But yeah, I think it's important to not only look at the financial benefits of migration, and look at the country as a people, not as an economy or an idea. America, to me, is a lot more than just an economy or an idea or the Constitution. It's my family. It's the people that founded the country. So I think the more we sacrifice, topics like immigration, you give up intangible things, like things we take for granted, like English being spoken everywhere. You give up small things like that with immigration.
Okay. All right. So my closing statement, after having which I disagree with, after having diversity is essential. It makes a country. It can help a country. And y'all was talking about how America isn't. Some countries aren't the strongest country in the world, right? Which America technically is still the strongest country in the world. Like the things immigration has does have positive, and it does massive immigration does have its negative, right? But the negative haven't taken over the positive yet. I feel hasn't. We cannot ban immigration from this country at all. We can't, because we need it in so many economic things in this country. But we need to find a better system we can use, so we can put the American people first, and we can benefit the American economy better without having massive immigration. And I feel immigration helps things like we can have potential entrepreneur in a better system where we can make things equally, and have y'all say America, putting America first. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I disagree, but it
That
does
was
make
closing
sense
statements, and it wouldn't be right for me to
to respond to
argue
that.
it.
So
Yeah.
it does make sense. I just disagree, but it makes sense though.
Yeah. All right. I know Sam, you wanted. I know like some of the people in the chat wanted to do like a Q&A. I don't know if you guys want to do that. Like a
That
Q&A
sounds
sort of thing.
great, actually. Oh yeah. I know Chief Trumpster wanted to ask a lot of questions.
All right. So if you have questions, write in the comment, and then I'll show it on the screen. Sounds good.
Nice weather we're having.
All right.
There's no one asking questions.
You have no questions?
I
Sam,
thought
Sam, where's the questions?
that's fine. I thought Chief Trumpster would have all the questions.
Yeah, I remember Chief Trumpster was saying, I want to call in, but... Cole T says, Jeremy, thoughts on electoral winter?
That's a good question.
What do
Jeremy,
y'all have
if
on
you
that?
do you want me to answer? Well, he asked
Sure.
Jeremy.
What does he mean? Does he mean like
Electoral winter is the idea that once we allow enough people in from third world countries or even foreign countries, that elections become unwinnable for Republicans again based on the voting trends that these immigrants vote on. So I know, like, Jeremy, you would probably say, like, well, I'm an immigrant and I vote Republican, but statistically speaking, immigrants stop voting Republican if they ever even start in the first place. They stop voting Republican or after around the first or second generation, and they turn left. Asians are the best example of this.
that's because I feel like that's because you can't just look at it because they're coming from a different country. I feel like you have to look at it because like they're voting left because like look at the mainstream media. Everything that's controlling our media is left. We have even most of the colleges are left. Most of the professors are definitely very left wings, right? And the left control every source of mainstream media. They're coming here with no knowledge, and they're seeing that. Why would they vote Republican? They will definitely vote left because I don't know. I feel there's a problem with our media. We have an imbalance of just the left controlling over the right. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
there is a lot of questions now.
Yeah, this is
like Too Cool Conservative says thoughts on race and IQ. I know Chief Trumpster kept saying, "Let me in. I have questions." I think he wants to like be in here.
I believe that the Too Cool Conservative. I believe that the correlation exists. How about that?
I would agree.
The correlation over there. The correlation exists, but there are anomalies, of course. I feel like that's just the common sense on race and IQ.
Yeah.
Chief Trumpster. How many immigrants do you want to use? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a president. I'm not empowered to make that decision.
I don't think that's a fair answer. You seem to be advocating for immigration, so you should.
Right. You're saying you don't want open borders. You don't want closed borders. You want restriction. What does that exactly mean?
How many immigrants do you want? Restriction from certain. Wait, how many immigrants do you want a year? That's a hard number to. I don't know. I don't know about that. That's a hard number to exactly say. What's the next question? I'm gonna skip that.
What about same from Chief Trumpster?
I can't wait for positive past. Sam, how many? Oh my!
What do you say?
How many people watched this? I wonder.
There was like 40
40.
something earlier.
Yeah, I
Wait,
think
Young Lazarus, who is he from Twitter? Because I know there's some people on Twitter that I scheduled to come on the podcast. Oh no, it's Anthony. Okay.
I mean, Chief Trumpster does have a good question. What do you say to the Americans who lose their jobs from mass migration?
I'd love to have you on, Anthony.
What? Sheesh. Only targeting me. I see. All right. What are the Americans that lose their job from mass migration? Like they're not really losing their job. I mean, they're not going for those jobs. They're going for.
I feel like we debunked that pretty well, though.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Oh, Daniel Thomas.
Jordan is very optical.
Thank you, Too Cool Conservative. Appreciate it, man.
Jordan, would you want to debate with IV Coalition?
I'd have to look up their content. If Public Enemy can DM me on Twitter, it's just Jordan B Videos. I just want to look at their content and see what they're about, but maybe so.
Wait, do you have TikTok, Jordan?
No, I got banned.
For what?
I was posting about race and IQ stats, and I was literally just going as far as I could on TikTok until I got banned. And after three videos of me doing like hashtag America First, hashtag Groiper, I got.
Oh,
banned.
you can't do hashtag Groiper. Groiper gets it's like an instant
it gets banned. I did Nick Fuentes hashtags. I did paleo conservative. It took me like 4 videos, and I got banned. It was fun.
Race and IQ. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
yeah. Someone wants to know Jordan. Too Cool Conservative wants to know Jordan's take on race and IQ.
Yeah, people like to hear my take about that.
What is your take, actually?
That there's a correlation.
It exists. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
But
There's a correlation between race and IQ.
Yeah, absolutely. On average, for sure.
What's the correlation?
That Africa has you look at the civilizational achievements of Africa, and you look at the civilizational achievements of Europe of the same time period, and you see a very clear disparity. And you also see a very clear disparity in the civilizational achievements of the global South and the global North. It's not hard to tell that Africa has not been able to achieve the same level of success as Europe with infinitely more natural resources. So.
Sam, there's a question on the screen. Did you finish Open Borders?
Did I finish Open Borders Inc? I got very close. It's right here. I think I got like a little more than a third in, and I've taken a break because it is a long book. But no, I didn't completely finish it. And Young Lazarus, I'll message you for sure. I'm not. Yeah, we'll talk about a time.
Chief, do you think? Yes.
Republicans will keep Texas.
I think we'll slide. We'll get by this election, but never again. This will be the last red Texas you'll see.
You're joking, right? Because I don't seriously.
You don't. Yeah. Jeremy, if you think that Texas is going to stay permanently red, then you genuinely don't understand demographics.
Well, I don't think they're going to stay permanently red, but I don't think it's going to change in 4 years.
Do you know how?
Is it that bad?
It'll be very close this year, but I think we'll get.
Do you know Ted Cruz's victory margin over Beto O'Rourke in 2018? And that was 2 years ago. Do you know how much he beat O'Rourke by?
No.
Less than 2%. And that's Texas. That's red. That is traditionally, like in your head, you think of Texas, you think of cowboys, you think of like white people on horses, you think of, no, it's not that anymore. Go to any urban area and it's Hispanic, dude. I live here. I live here. I know what it is.
That's true, but you got to think about it though. Most of not just Texas, like if the mainstream media look how are conservatives portrayed in the mainstream media? Racist. They're saying
How
that
do
they're
you define
racist.
conservative? Do you mean like Charlie Kirk, or do you mean actual
Yeah.
conservatives?
I mean, wherever you want to see it, but like
That was an unfair question. Sorry.
Yeah,
there's
that's yeah.
there's stereotypes about it. There's stereotypes.
Yeah.
They're saying that they're racist. They're saying that they're sexist. They're saying that they're
Look,
I don't know, all these things. Like, if we have to do a better job if you, in the mainstream media and all these in education, if we want to have an advantage, like that's what we're losing ground. We've been losing ground.
Yes. Okay. Two
I know
things.
Cole T had a very good question. Do you guys think AOC is hot?
No.
Wait, can I?
Yeah, have Jordan.
Hell yeah. Unironically, yes. Like,
She's the,
if she would just keep her mouth closed and just never speak again, perfect. But purely objectively, AOC, yes. Big yes, frankly.
I didn't expect anyone to actually answer.
The glasses, the hair, she's like kind of slender. She's just dumb. That's the only thing. That's the only downside. She's really
okay.
dumb.
We can agree to that.
She's hot. I'm sorry.
Jeremy, there's a question on the screen. Are you socially conservative?
If you are, fun fact is immigrants avoidance. Yes.
Right.
If not, Hispanics
Fun
and
fact.
many more. Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Phil
I mean,
said
I
should.
don't know. There's like this. I don't know. Maybe a stereotype. I don't know if it's true of like Hispanics hating Trump and stuff like that.
Yeah, Phil said I should debate the duo Kai Clips debated. That's funny you say that. If Jordan had declined or said he couldn't make it, I was going to ask Kai next.
This guy was setting up backup plans for me. Damn.
I was. Well, I came to you first though. So.
No, I appreciate it. It was a good time. Yeah.
I should have set up a better backup plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish it would have been.
I mean, that would be kind of like offensive to be like, hey, if this guy flakes on me, can you pitch and you're my second choice?
Hey man, can you be Plan B really quick?
Yeah. Oh. Okay, young
Lazarus,
I know this guy IRL. I'll give it to
Really?
you. Yeah. I
know
a lot about this.
Let's ask. What do y'all think about?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Those are high. I love those kind of compliments right there.
Aren't they?
Like,
yeah, like I disagree with you, but
I
I'm still
respect
cool with
you. I love those. Those are
Yeah.
kind of cool.
It's like a white pill.
Mm-hmm. Very big white pill when you see stuff like that. That's not the majority of people who disagree with you. Don't be fooled into thinking that. But when you see those kind of people who disagree with you but still respect you, those are people to keep in your life.
It puts a smile on my face. Thank you.
What do you? Okay, I don't know. I'm just gonna ask the comment section. What do y'all think about the debate, just in general?
Are you asking us or the comments?
I mean, I'm asking the comments.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Who won?
Yeah, guys. What do y'all think about the debate? Who won?
Who's Nasbloom? I don't know.
What
who
do y'all
that
think about it?
Are you guys looking at Are you
Yeah, I
guys
have
looking
no
at the
idea.
YouTube comments?
is. I'm looking at it.
What do y'all think about it? Jeremy, how do you feel about
Abortion,
non-white people?
pro-life. I'm pretty sure everyone here is pro-life. Lazarus. I don't know if you want me to dox your name. Sorry, that's why
I'm pretty
calling you
sure
Lazarus.
everyone's here pro-life.
Yeah, pro-life for sure. Big question. What's a big question? Oh, Jordan, me, and Sam, anti-immigration dominated. Sam and Jordan. Let's go. Jordan won. Groypers won. Hey. I'm like weird to call myself a groiper on camera though.
I don't really. I mean, I'm with the groiper. I don't consider myself a groiper. I'm too old to be a groiper. I'm 26. It's like I can't
That would
be
be kind of
groiper.
like that would be kind of sus.
Yeah, it's like I'm
hanging
not.
out with.
No, I'm not a
like
groiper.
frogs.
I'm not a groiper. I'm a groiper supporter. I'm a
I see that.
It's the same way Michelle Malkin wouldn't call herself a groiper. She's in her 40s, you know.
Right, but she
she's
politically aligns with them.
But politically aligning, it's like 100%.
I mean, I'm young enough that I have no excuse not to be a groiper, but
What?
Oh man, Sam, you got
so were you on TikTok when like Nick Fuentes and like the whole TikTok wars thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Nick and Lance videos were like against them. I don't know. They are they're right-wing populists and they like frogs a lot. It's like Nick Fuentes' fans, they're very into his show America First, and they like to. You can't really be open about your political beliefs without risking some part of your social life, so they hide behind frogs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You got to get on Twitter a little bit, Jeremy. You'll get quickly accustomed with the groiper community.
I'll probably get banned.
Go for it, Lazarus.
Nah, it's fine.
Or sorry, Anthony, you said you don't care. Yeah. Colty said Hunter Lowenberg is a groiper. Yes.
Yeah, he's an undercover groiper, isn't he?
Oh, damn. Someone said I'm a little cringe. As long as it's just a little bit.
So what are your thoughts on this upcoming election?
Oh, yeah, it's the same person that said Jordan won. Just Jordan. Rip.
Who said that?
I have to scroll up. KC69ism.
I don't know who that is, but I appreciate
Jordan.
it. Yeah, what's up?
What is your thoughts on this upcoming election?
I think Trump pulls it out barely. I think I think Trump pulls it out. I think he starts to become like base Trump again and starts doing cool things again.
What do you mean cool things?
Like starts saying the right things. Like he was
And his
starting
immigration bans, they were based.
exactly. He starts doing base things again, like immigration.
And now he's holding up like LGBT flags and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he's gonna. I feel like he's gonna stop with.
he's
that.
alienating his. I was gonna say fan base, his voter base.
Yeah, it does feel like a fan base though. But
wait, y'all don't support the LGBTQ?
When you say support, no, I don't support someone's sexual orientation.
And Jeremy, I thought you said you were socially conservative, right?
I agree.
They have
I'm
like
agreeing. I'm literally agreeing with y'all.
Okay.
yeah, it's just a question. Yeah, I suppose that my stance on the LGBTQ community is that, of course, you homosexuality shouldn't be illegal. I think public display of sexuality should be to some extent regulated because,
like a good example is what Russia does. Did you hear about what happened in Russia last week? There was this woman who's a part of like the media or like is a part of children's shows in Russia. She was fined the equivalent of I think $1,000 for distributing gay propaganda that pictured like little kids with gay families. She was fined $1,000 for that. She wasn't arrested. She wasn't beheaded. She wasn't thrown off a building. It's just like it's a statement that your society doesn't accept those kind of like propaganda tactics. I'm supportive of that. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're little kids growing up being exposed to homosexuality. There's just no need for it. I'm
with you. I'm with you. I think that's where conservatives get hung up a little bit, is using the state to enforce our moral code. And it does get a little it gets a little touchy for us. But it's like, you know, what we've learned, I think, in the last 10 or 20 years is that the more ground we cede and say, well, just let people do what they want in their own home, that's going to lead you to drag queen story hour.
In their own home, I can get behind that.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, but then it always seeps out. I just don't want parades. I just don't want LGBTQ parades.
For a second, it sounded like when you said it seeps out. It sounded like you were against private homosexuality.
No, I'm not technically, but I think really here's what we need. Honestly, here's my solution. Have you ever heard of the Hays Code?
No.
The Hays Code. It was in the 1930s in Hollywood. It was basically instituted by the basically by the Catholic lobby at that point in Hollywood.
That existed in Hollywood.
Exactly.
That's
No, look
crazy.
up. This was pre-degenerate Hollywood. No, seriously. Look
I
up the
believe
Hays
you.
Code. There's entire articles about it. The Hays Code basically said that it wasn't even instituted by law. It was an agreement between the conservative people of America and Hollywood producers that they wouldn't show things like frontal nudity. They wouldn't show things like homosexuality on screen. They wouldn't show certain sexual acts on screen. And if they did, the Catholic community would organize and boycott the film or whatever. And the Hays Code changed by state. So something that was allowed in New York may be allowed, but wouldn't be allowed in Utah or Montana. The Hays Code, it was a moral unwritten code of like, don't show this or you will not make a cent off this movie. We need something like that again, but we don't have any.
I mean, but then it does get a little hypocritical because then the Catholic Church is like saying don't show sin, but then they're fine with violent movies. So
yeah, but violence isn't a sin in and of itself. Like a good example is like Braveheart. Like there's nothing sinful about the movie Braveheart. It's like people fighting a war. I don't see violence as inherently sinful.
I mean, thou shalt not kill. Like that is
No.
pretty basic.
Poor translation. It's thou shalt not murder.
What are your thoughts on the
Okay,
demographic transition model?
I've heard that. I can get behind that.
It's like, yeah, obviously
Because
don't
then
murder.
the Crusades would be unjustifiable if it was thou
Exactly.
shalt not kill.
Exactly.
Murder.
So the translation is actually murder, not kill. But
That's kind of cool.
I
realize that.
The Catholic autistic side of me coming in with that translation, the Tower of Babel story, and that being against globalism. There's a lot of base Catholicism there that people, that's there. It's not all creepy priests.
Too Cool Conservative asked, what are your thoughts on the demographic transition model?
Immigration is needed for population thoughts. I disagree. I don't think immigration is not needed for population. Japan's population has stayed stagnant and actually declined since the 70s, and they're still one of the most powerful, technologically influential countries on the planet. So I disagree. You don't need people for ingenuity. You need IQ for ingenuity.
Also, Anthony in the comments says you're confirmed too. Are you a pro-choice Catholic?
Who,
I
me?
need to know. No. Someone in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need.
I don't even think so. I don't think so. Is he? Are you?
That is what I'm asking. I'm not sure.
Who is that too?
Young Lazarus. Sorry, I called him.
Okay.
Matthews.
I was like, I've never claimed to be pro-choice. I am. I am
no.
pro-life through and through. Okay.
All right. I guess, are there any more questions in the comments? If not, I guess we could start to wrap things up.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. Y'all want to say something nice about each other, or?
Yeah,
I don't know.
let's give
That'd be
compliments.
cool. Who's starting?
Oh, I'll start.
Okay.
Jeremie, I think you're a cool guy, man. I've had debates in the past where I end up being like, I really dislike that person, and they're like, they're deceitful and they're liars and they're underhanded. I don't get that vibe from you. You're just like, you're a cool guy. So if you ever want to chat again without it being a debate, I'm always down for a chat. So you seem like a cool guy.
You're really, really friendly. That's something I noticed about you. I admire that. And honestly, props for not backing down when it became a 2v1. That's brave.
Yeah, good point too. A lot of people be like, I'm done. Oh, my connection sucks. It's 2v1. I respect that a lot, Jeremie.
Yeah, I respect the fact that honestly, I came out of this debate more educated because I came into it. I don't know. Maybe I was looking at it from different point of view on it, right? And you were looking at it from another point of view. So even though I disagree with some things y'all said, I agree with some of the things. Right, gave me a new perspective of looking at immigration and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty cool guys. So
thank you.
Appreciate it, LM.
I had something I was gonna say, but I lost it. Damn.
All right.
Hey, I had a good time.
Excuse me. I remembered. Jeremy,
go ahead.
I also admired that you are an immigrant yourself and you didn't lose your head, because this could have been this could have been a very personal debate, and you kept yourself composed. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I wish, because I don't want to, for a debate. I don't feel like things, even if whatever debate is, even if it affects me, I don't feel like I should use. I don't. That's why I don't like when people use their personal like relationship towards a debate, because it's not really. I don't know. It's not. It's like using feelings of facts.
Exactly. Base Jeremy. Okay.
Base.
That's base right there. I don't like using personal examples to prove a point. Very good point. I like that, Jeremy. But yeah, guys, if any of y'all ever want to chat again, I'm game. Everyone here was cool. No one was like rude or like underhanded, so I'm game anytime.
Yeah, all right. I guess that concludes it for today's little debate. So yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
I had a great time. Later, guys.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Peace.